So we're saying zeirut is being careful. Zrizut is basically it's two halves of one whole. If you are careful without zrizut, if you are careful to not do averot, you're not a tzaddik, you haven't done enough. We said zeirut is being really careful and aware, but zrizut is being excited and running out there mitzvot aseh. So like we said, lo taseh is that you stay away from things, but sur mera ve'aseh tov, it's not enough to stay away from bad, you need to do good. And we start usually, the general guidance is stay away from bad, and then start doing good. Sometimes we turn this, we switch it around. Sometimes, like when we left Egypt, we were in 49 levels of Tuma. We were in such a low, bad place that the only solution was to go and do good. So that's how we say Kadesh Urchatz. Kadesh is be holy, do the mitzvot. Just, if you're locked into the negative, just start doing something positive. Just switch around the paradigm and start to do something positive. But the general direction is, and that's where Mesilat Yesharim is built in a very order that's based on the bright Rav Pinchas ben Yair, Sur Mera V'aseh Tov. And yes, what did you want to ask Ezra? Right? Thomas. Sorry.
Is the midah for the negative commandments, and
yes, that's what the Ramchal says here. Zeirut is sur mera, zrizut is aseh tov. Exactly. So zeirut is to create a personality that cannot do bad things, go against Hashem's mitzvot. Zrizut is the personality that runs after to go do the positive things. Now, the Ramchal told us in the past, to be zehirut, all you have to do is tap into your natural state, because we have a natural state. You have to understand it. We talked about it in depth. Same way you don't put your hand in fire. You realize that all the mitzvot are like the natural world. I don't do the averot. And it's just becoming a healthy person, natural, connecting to your natural state. It's the natural thing to do. Zrizut, the Ramchal is telling us here, is going above nature. It's going beyond yourself. It's doing something not normal. For you to go and do mitzvot, you have to go against your nature. So basically he says, the same way the Yetzer Hara is there to try to pull you down, to go into negative things, and this is to be aware of the battle, to be aware of the challenge. Like knowing the problem is half the solution. The Ramchal is telling us the same way there's a Yetzer Hara that wants to pull you into negative, and the whole first 4 chapters we learned were all about how do you create a personality that is on guard and does not get sucked into that trap. Now he says the Yetzer Hara not only wants to pull you into the negative, it also wants to, right, to make sure to make you not be able to do mitzvot. So there's a double battle. We talked about that in the past, of that we are in a war, and it's a double war. It's one enemy is the enemy that's trying to get you to do negative, and the other enemy is to get you to not do positive. So it's a double battle, right? And okay, you understand? So you have to be aware that there's something that's trying to stop me from trying something. There's this force that's trying to pull me, and this is inside of us. When we talk to Yetzer Hara, it's not a person. It's the desire for self-preservation, the desire for pleasure, the desire for to follow, our desires, our materialistic, tendencies. There is also this Yetzer, and that's what we're going to talk about in this character of Zrizut, is that there is this force that's trying to push us away, that we should not be able to do positive things. We should not be able to do mitzvot. And in order to do it, you have to overcome your desire for laziness. Right? Because you'll be empty. What is, like, it's an amazing thing the way he says here that basically A person could live his life from when he's born until he dies, from the morning till the night, and be fully busy and not lacking anything. It's like the way the Rabbi Kashtiel was saying. It's like you have a king, and he's a king of a huge countries, or many, many, many countries. From the first day of the year till the last day of the year, every second is calculated for. There's events, there's interviews, there's committees. Every second of the day is already scheduled. There's no time for anything else. You could live your life without Torah and mitzvahs, and you will not have a free second. Every second is completely spoken for. So what does it say? Melech poretz geder. A king comes and says, by the way, tomorrow at 3 o'clock there's an event. What do you mean there's an event? We have 50 million events. That's your problem. Cancel it, reschedule it, make it shorter, do whatever you want. Tomorrow there's an event. The most not natural thing to do, and you get no gain for it in this world, is learning Torah and doing mitzvahs and davening. What do you gain from davening? Nothing. It says there's no reward for mitzvahs in this world. There's a small list of things that you get the reward. Adam ochel porotem olam hazeh, v'keren kemot olam haba. There's a small list of things that the principle, which is the mitzvot, is in the next world. You don't touch the principle, but there's a certain dividend that you get in this world, and those are like kind of things that dance in two worlds. Hachnasat ochim, bikur cholim, alvayat hamet, iyun tefillah, a whole list of things, and that gives you motivation because it's hard sometimes. You're not getting any reward for the mitzvot in this world, so they give you a little list of things that will motivate you because not all of us are so on such a high level that we could say we don't need anything now. So here's a list. But the bottom line is, so when you decide you're going to daven, you decide you're on Torah, right? People say to you, you're learning here Torah. What are you doing wasting your time learning chazanas, right? What are you doing? What are you learning? Go learn something that you make money from, that will help your career, that will help you, right? You're just wasting time. That's the way people look at it. Unfortunately, they don't understand the value of the Torah. This is what gives the whole world existence. But this is the way it is. And therefore, you have to understand that there's a very strong force, which is laziness. And if you don't overcome your laziness, and this is what he says, V'tireh, now look into it. Ki teva ha'adam kaved me'od, ki afriyut ha'chomriyut gas. Okay? Why do we need to create a different motion of life? Why do we have to go against our nature and tap into this place? What is zrizut? Zrizut is excitement, is joy, simcha, is you're alive, right? A person that is zariz. But why is it so hard? Why do we have to go against it? And the answer is, we have something in us that's called, it says, min afar bata ve'lef afar tashuv. We come from the earth. We're called Adam, which is Adama, which means with earth. There's gravity. There's a force in this world, a physical force that pulls us down. We want to go slow. It's in our nature to be lazy, and we want rest. We don't want to change things. We want things to be the same. We don't want things to be out of the order. We don't want to go out of our comfort zone. We don't want changes. We want stability. And that's why we love habits. Habits, we were talking about in the past, makes it very comfortable. You know what it is. It's a routine. It's the same thing. It makes you feel safe. It makes you feel, right? It makes you feel good. And you have to go out of your comfort zone. To do mitzvot, to serve Hashem, it's not comfortable to get up in the morning. Now again, we're in the first part of the 4 parts. We're understanding the reality. Who we are, what we're made of, why it's so hard. Then we'll talk about what you have to do, and then we'll talk about how do you motivate yourself, and then we'll talk about once you got it, how do you not fall back relapse into that laziness. But this is the reality, and we have no complaints. We're not upset at you. We're not saying you're a bad person. The reality is that we are heavy, we are lazy, we come from earth, and by the way, we have in us something that's called We're called the Ish. There's the Adama. We're an Adam.
Yeah, Ish is
But
fire.
we're also Ish is Esh, which is fire. So when you do an action that is heavy and sluggish and slow, that action is being done with your part of your how do you say, your body. Actions that are done with excitement, with ratzon, with passion, with movement, are actions that are done with your neshama. Yes, what you want to ask?
I wanted to
Yeah.
to comment or say that not everybody is like by his nature like very lazy or like want things not to change. There's some people who have like really drive and are really restless, like doing things all the time. Maybe not good things.
Well,
but
that's what we're
they-
saying. Again, we talked about what was Zeirut. Zeirut was talking to the people that are doing things very fast and very excited
sorry.
with a lot of energy,
I missed that.
but they're doing it with a lot of energy, but it's coming from the Yetzer Hara. It's coming from the negative place. So we're not saying that everyone is
It's not
heavy. By the way, later the Ramchal talk about it. There is an aspect of laziness and heaviness that's good. I'm too lazy now to go do that Avera. Right?
Yeah.
It's too to get up and go do that Avera. You have to use that gift. You use the Yitzhara, so now to go get up, go do that. I'm just too lazy. Now that's using it for good. So there's also a place for that laziness. It's a positive thing to want to have stability and want to have, but you have to make sure that that's why Zeirut comes before Zrizut, because we have to make sure that our Zrizut is coming after we already have that we're doing things very with passion and excited, things that are positive, right? So, and therefore the mitzvot, it's very difficult because you have to change your habits that you are basically in like we said, that a person is enslaved in. And that's the Ramchal. The whole thing of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair was Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair used to go and release prisoners. That was his occupation, right? And that's what he's doing here. We are all in prison of our selfishness, prison of our materialism, of our laziness, of our negative characters. The Ramchal gives us this book and says, focus on these, and you'll have everything. All the other character, all the other mitzvot, all the other midot, everything will follow if you focus on these few characters. One is Zeirut, two is Drizut. You will become a healthy, a positive person if you create a personality. What does that mean, personality? It's not a person that did a good act. A person who is good. A person becomes Zeirut, becomes so aware of his neshama, of his nefesh, that he cannot go and do something negative. It's that it's like he's aware, danger, it goes off. Automatically, he's not going to stick his hand into fire. And Zrizut is a personality that's looking to go and perform the mitzvah at every moment. Where's the next mitzvah? At the first opportunity. How do you create that personality? Is it, like you said, is it just that there's certain people that have that? It's true. Not everyone has the same starting point. When it comes out to when you have like a race, so you have everyone has the same starting point. It's true. When it comes to midot, some people, their starting point for certain midot are harder. But it makes no difference. Whether, some people have a huge desire for anger. So what? You have a harder job to work on. And Hashem knows that, and he lined it up for you, and he set it up for you. You have a harder starting point, yes, but you will get there. Everyone has weaknesses and strengths, and you have to know where you are to become balanced. And therefore, it tells us, and then he says, if you want to have avodat Hashem, you have to. You have to go against your nature, your physical nature, because if you let yourself just go with the flow, what's going to happen? Lo yatzliach. And that's what it says in the Pirkei Avot. Heve'az kanamer, kal kanesher, ratz katzvi v'gibor kari. So a beautiful idea. So he says you have to have these four characters that you can get from you can learn from. There's many things the Gemara talks about you can learn from animals, And you see a tzvi, a deer, right? He has this incredible ability to go from one extreme to the next. Like he could be sitting, or even cats or any animal. They feel danger, boom. So the first one is zeirut, is like the tzvi, ratz katzvi. Gibor ka'ari. Sorry, we'll go through it. Kal kanesher. That's, we're going to talk about that in zrizut. Part of zrizut is the ability of, ever see the hawk or the nesher? How do you say it's
Eagle.
an eagle? An eagle has the ability to hover. In other words, that's the strength that you have to uncover in you, which is to, when you start something, to finish it. Yes, I'm hovering. I started something. I'm gonna hover. I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna be on top of it.
Hummingbird? Eagles.
Nesher is an eagle. The eagles hover. Are you kidding? They look at their prey, and they stand there until they see it, and then they go down for attack. So, in other words, I start something. Zrizut is not only to get it over with. It's not what it means. It means that you do it right away and you complete it. Part of zrizut is the completion, and that's what we learn from the eagle. The third one is ke'ari. The lion is the ability, what we're talking about now, to go above your nature, your heavy nature, because the lion is so heavy and so big, and he's sleeping, and he gets up to move that. That's what you say the first thing in the morning. It gaber ka'ari. You have to overcome like a lion. It's the symbol of overcoming that materialistic draw and pull downwards. And the last one was the what's it called? What was the third? Azkanamer. Azkanamer is the ability to have the strength and to not let people pull you down or be embarrassed, and you have to overcome a lot of challenges that may stop you from doing things. A lot of times you want to do something, you know it's the right thing to do, but you're worried, what are people going to say? So those are the four aspects of the Mishnah. That's how it was a nice explanation here. And therefore, the rabbis gave us a list, right? When the Ramchal brings us an idea, so he gives us it's where it's based in the Gemara, the Torah, the Mishnah, right? He's showing to us that what I'm telling you is not something I'm inventing. And again, we're in the part where it's the overview. And the Ramchal tells us here that the Gemara says there are four things that need chizuk. What does that mean? That it means that you have to overcome it. These are very challenging things. That when we come into the land of Israel, right? Here we are in the desert, and we have all of our comforts, and we have the man coming from Shemayim, and we have, right? Life was easy. But when you come into Israel, it's not going to be easy. Like my rabbi said, don't try to convince people to move to Israel by telling them that it's going to be easy. You come to Israel, you have enemies, you have to build your own state, your own government, you have all kinds of things, and that means that these are things that they're hard, and you have to put effort into it. What are the four things? In other words, good things, mitzvahs, things you have to you're going to have to put in effort. And this is not easy, because we like things to be very easy and fast, and especially with technology, right? But these are things that need chizuk, which means that we need to overcome it. And what are those four things? Torah, Masim Tovim. You do good acts. Not only do people not say thank you, but you have to keep doing it. Unfortunately, you do mitzvah. You expect everyone to be, right, and to be like overjoyed, clapping for you. Nothing. No, people don't say thank you. I mean, unfortunately, people do mitzvot and things. You're doing it because Hashem says to do it. And not always are you going to get recognition. Especially in Israel, for example, teachers are the lowest paid job. My rabbi says, you want to do the greatest act in the world, change the world the most, you'll make the least amount of recognition, least amount of money, go become a teacher. The hardest work, the greatest thing. There's so many things like that you do, and you do not get the reward that you would hope or think that you should get. But that's just the world we live in. And therefore, Chazak, when Yeshua comes into Israel, right? Chazak v'ametz me'od lishmor lasot. And he says, ki chozek gadol צריך למי שרוצה לכפות הטבע אל הפכו. He goes on and on explaining that yes, to become zrizut, to do mitzvot aseh, you have to go against your nature. You have to go beyond yourself. It's difficult. You have to be in the mindset. There's a book called Chovat Levavot, one of the first books, Duties of Our Hearts, one of the first books of Tikkun Amidot, Avodat HaNefesh. He talks about if you're not willing to take the bitter drug, medication of changing yourself and growing, you're not going to be able to do it. It doesn't mean that working on yourself and developing your character has to be bitter, but you have to be willing to do it. Same thing it says about in the Mishnah. It says Pat Melech Tochel. You have to be, if you wanna, you have to be willing to live on bread and water. It doesn't mean you have to live on bread and water. It doesn't have to be hard, but you have to be open to the understanding that yes, it is work. Things that are of value, things that are important, are things you need to be willing to work hard for. And this is a hard thing for people to understand because, especially with technology, is there to make our life easier. But it also makes you lazy. It also makes you, there's certain people that think that they're greater than a rabbi who's been studying 60 years because he doesn't have a smartphone. And they think he's living in the prehistoric era because he doesn't have a smartphone. And I have this powerful tool. And I can know everything about anything in a second. Yeah.
I want to preface that what I'm about to say by saying I don't think that having this, what I'm about to say is implying that I believe that. What I'm saying is that what I actually like about the smartphone analogy is it's a good analogy that, in a lot of ways, everyone is smart at their own thing. Because there's been, there's one or two moments where I've had to help Rob Listman with his computer. Of course, Rob Listman is excellent Rob.
You're saying Hashem, one of the beautiful things is that Hashem split he scattered the talents and the gifts to everybody. Yeah. For sure. But I'm saying, what the Ramchal is saying, that you have to be aware, and he's going to go into it more and explain that you have to be aware that there's this desire that's telling you, always take the shortcut, always go the fast way, always do it the easy way. In other words, and a person, I remember once that I was in a car with some old man, and he said, I would not want to win the lottery even if I could. I want to work for what I have, and that's what that's to me valuable. That I enjoy the hard work, and that's a gift to me. And I was like, whoa, can you imagine somebody saying that? Everybody's like, well, I want to win the lottery, I want to win the lottery. But understanding that, there's a value to working for things and not getting it without effort. And once you understand that and you want that, like, for example, forgive me for using this analogy, but there's a beautiful small booklet that was put out about this, is that, why do people go to pornography? And the answer is that we have two states that we experience in our life. We have a state where we feel that we are creating, we're being creative, we're alive, we're bringing life to the world. The highest, greatest example of that is a child, bringing a child into the world. But then we have certain times where we feel very not creating. We're not being creative. We're not bringing anything good to the world. We feel like we're lost. We're very small and weak and not alive. So there's two ways to get back to feeling alive. The general idea is you wait for that feeling to pass, and you learn and you work, and then you get back to that state of feeling creative and alive. But there's also a way to get there very fast, which is the unacceptable way, and the way that is wrong. It's like you want to have muscles, you could inject yourself with steroids, or you can work out for a whole year. You'll have the same. You'll have the same outcome, but one is unacceptable, which is wrong, and it's damaging yourself. The other way is right, and you'll get there, and it's healthy, and you'll get there in the right way. So when people go to pornography, it makes you feel in a very wrong way that you're alive. And then you think that you're alive and you're creating, but it's all an illusion because it's wrong. And therefore, you really have to say to yourself, when the person has that desire, I don't want the easy way. I want the long way. I want the hard way. I don't want the fast food. I don't want the fat quick fix. I don't want to be lazy. And then once you get into that mindset, you say, oh, I don't need that. I want to get there the hard way.
Yeah, this is why you put filters and all the computers and phones and everything.
Yes, of course. That's thank you
they
for
don't become
very,
addicted to
very
it.
important.
That's
And you have to have a filter, and exactly. But I'm saying, unfortunately, there's ways the youth, they know how to bypass any filters, but you have to. That's why you have to build it in you, the desire not to want that.
What they say in America is it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what filters you put on your kids' computers or phones or anything like that, because you have no control about what your kids' friends have.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The way to do it, and this is what we're talking about here,
to know that it's wrong.
Is to learn that it's wrong and to understand it, and then you don't have to. You don't have to put all these million. You need the guards, but the idea is to build it from inside. That they should, like we said, building character, building personality. And another thing that's very important. Technology is developing, and there's all these movies of the fear of robots taking over, and the idea is to not stop the development of technology, but to hand in hand develop the personality, the character, the moral aspect of mankind, and the same speed as is growing the technology. And like this morning, my wife was showing me something that they're coming up with a new technology of virtual reality. It's intense. It's going to swallow everybody up. People are with glasses, and you go and you live a whole world. How you want to look, what you want to do.
Sounds like the Matrix.
Yes, it's happening now as we're speaking. And again, the idea is not to shut down technology and all these developments. And if we would be growing spiritually and morally on a higher level, technology would be going way faster than it's going now. The reason why it's going so slow is because we think it's going fast, but it's going super slow. We could go a million times faster if our moral state, if we were using it for positivity. Unfortunately, it's going to it's brought down mankind morally in a very, very, very strong way. But the answer is not to stop it, but to pump up the moral learning, what we're doing here, our personalities and our characters. And like we're saying, Shlomo Melech said that it's very important. Shlomo, now he brings a few examples from Shlomo Melech. Why don't we study Shlomo Melech? So the first Mesilat Yesharim was Shlomo Melech. So why do we study Mesilat Yesharim? Because again, every generation speaks in the language we understand, and it's closer to us. It's more. So yes, Shlomo Melech said everything, but we need to relate to it, and therefore we learn from the generations. They come down and they bring it to us. And so Shlomo Melech said, you have to see that laziness is a negative process that's not always controlled, right? You have a voice in you that's telling you, if you can get to the same outcome with less effort, right? So get there. If you could do something easy, why do it with effort? And we're saying because Adam la'amal yulad, God created you to work. God created you for effort. Yes, when it comes to certain things, like if you can drive your car to get to Tel Aviv instead of walking there, take your car. But when it comes to learning something, if I could now go and know the bottom line of, okay, Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad Hashem Echad is done. That's it. No, you need to know the process. Not some things, halacha, you could know the bottom line. Amuna, what we're doing here, Mesilat Yesharim, Amuna. It's not enough to know God is one. What does that mean? What does it mean God is one? You have to know the whole process. You have to know the whole discussion that led to that. That's what we learn in Gemara. We go through the whole discussion. It's not enough. Just give me the bottom line. No, you need to learn the process. It's in certain things, the process is just as important as the outcome. That's what we're talking about when you're learning Torah, especially when it comes to your midot and your and musar and emunah. You need to learn. You need the process. You need to not look for the quick way and the shortcut. You need to get there the full way. And this is what Shlomo Melech says. That this happens slow. It's a process that's if you're not on guard, you will get sucked in. And this is what he said. For example, that many people, they bring bad things on them, not from something they're doing, but for something they're not doing. Many people, they're married. How did we get to such a bad place in our marriage suddenly? I didn't do anything wrong. Exactly, you didn't do anything. It's not enough to not do bad. There's also many positive actions that you need to do. You need to talk to your wife. You need to go out with your wife. You need to listen to her. There's a lot of things that you have to do, and it's not enough to just not do bad. I didn't do anything bad. Yeah, you're right. You didn't do anything bad. But that's not enough. It's like the world is turning. And if the world is turning and you stand still, you're going backwards. So either you go into a state of movement and you're in a state of movement and you're going beyond that pull that's pulling you backwards, and you start to move forward, or you're going to get pulled backwards. So there's no such a thing as standing still. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And that's what we're talking about. How do we move forward? How do we have this how do we go against the natural gravity, against the state of our desire for just being stagnant, standing still? How do we do it? So this is what he says. Shlomo Meir said, Gam mitrape mimelachto. A person who doesn't do positive, ach hu lebal mashchit. He's the brother of the, how do you say, the corrupt, the person that is the destroyer. You're the brother. You're the same. You're not doing with your hands. You're not going out purposely, intentionally doing that. Wonderful. We give that to you. You're not doing it intentionally, but you're still doing it. He says, Al tachshav, don't think that you're far from it, because that's the way it is. Look at what happens at a field. I give the example of the world and the gravity turning, but here he gives an example of a field. What do you want from me? My whole field is full of thorns, harming people, hurting people. But I didn't plant those thorns. You're right, you didn't plant. We don't have any complaints. We don't have complaints why thorns grow. But when you have a field and you don't work the field, if you have your nefesh, if you have your personality, if you have yourself and you don't work yourself, if you don't take out the thorns, if you don't plant positive things, negative things will come. And that's why Shlomo Melech said, Me'at, and he says, I learned, Shlomo Melech says, I learned such a big lesson from this, that I walk by a field and I see the guy says, I didn't do anything. Exactly, but look what grew. Thorns grow. If you don't work on your personality, negative things will come up, even though it's not intentionally. And this is what happens. And therefore, the same things when it comes to learning, and the same things when it comes to everything. I just wanted to, and this is, again, it's a mindset. It's a switch that you make in your mind, and you say, I want to work. And again, you're talking to somebody who doesn't like to work. Gemara with the Perush of Schottenstein. You know what? If you're not going to learn Gemara at all, learn with Schottenstein. But try to think first. What do you think? What do you use your mind? These are things that, like, we want to be spoon-fed. We want the easy way. We want the light way. But to change your mindset, you read what the Ramchal is telling you, and you say, wow, I want to work. I want to learn. They say when you get to Shemaim, they don't ask you, how many pages did you learn? They ask you, how many hours did you learn? Yeah. So change your mindset. Who cares if you learn 10 Gemaras? Learn one Gemara. In the yeshivas, they learn Be'iyun. Learn it in depth, ask the questions, and discover who's asking the same questions you're asking. Why is Rashi saying this? Read the pasuk, try to think first. Again, I'm saying to myself, something I don't do, and something I need to do. We need to learn to work. as they say, use it or lose it. You have a brain. When you have this gift, then maximize it. And this is right because you weren't Adam le'amal yulad. It says you were created for effort, for work. And if you always get used to trying to get to the same outcome without any effort, then you can't stand effort, right? But if you didn't work for something hard, it's not yours. You don't own it. It's not something, right? Like when it comes to work, yes, try to work the minimal amount and make the most amount of money. Okay, that's okay. But when it comes to Torah, when it comes to Avodat Hashem, you need to your character, you need to learn to start thinking a way. And the Ramchal says it's like poison. It goes into you, and you suddenly look and you can't believe the distance between where you want to be and where you are. And that's it. You have to learn to love the hard work, to be a man of work. Yes.
So, a question about you said you should always look for the easy way that has the same outcome in all things except for learning Torah. What if you're like, let's for example, you're in a shiur and you're like, gosh, this shiur is just, I'm not getting anything from it. I think the Rav is bland, or it's just not worth my time. I'd rather go study on my own.
Again, that's why you need to have a rabbi. A rabbi is there to help you figure out how much should you do chavrutas. The main learning is chavrutas, which is you with someone who is, like we said there's different relationships when it comes to learning Torah. You have to have someone who knows more than you, someone who knows less than you, and someone that is equal to you. And the majority of the time is you're learning with someone equal to you, a chavruta, and you're together trying to work it out because you don't have the answers. But it's changing the mindset. Because it's learning to love the work, to love the hard work, to love the. It's like Shlomo Meir said, "Al tochach letz pen yisneika." Don't go to a fool and tell him he's doing something wrong; he'll hate you. But ocheach chacham biaveka, a wise person, you tell him he's doing something wrong, he loves you. The Gaon of Vilna used to pay the Maggid of Duvna to help him see where he has the things that he can work on himself, because everyone was scared to tell him, you have this not good, like a therapist. To love, to learn, you get in. It's a mindset. I love to know where I made a mistake because it can help me fix. I love to know that I can where I'm not doing it right. Right? It should be the greatest gift when someone says to you that you could be doing it in a different way and that you can fix. But it's changing mindset. All right. And therefore, the Ramchal goes on and says that we see that many times a person knows already what he has to do. He knows everything clear, right? Yodea ma chova alav mitzad boro. He knows what he has to do. Why is he not doing it? Lo mechison hakara, not because he doesn't understand why it's important, but because of laziness. A lot of times a person could understand it, what he has to do. He's aware of it. He could how do you say the words word for word, but why won't he do it? Because of laziness. He says, I'll sleep a little bit, I'll have a little rest, I'll eat a little bit. I already took off my clothes, I already put on my pajamas, so now I'm gonna go daven, or now I'm gonna go learn Torah, and he says he has a million excuses, but if you look deep into these excuses, you'll discover that it's just laziness. In other words, you were able to your mind, your seichel, the greatest gift we have, the greatest, the king, the leader of our ability to change, is already working for the other side. Is already telling us it's too late. You're going to get a cold. There's corona. There's this. Right? You're tired. You didn't eat enough. You didn't sleep enough. It's cold outside. There's raining. Or a million different reasons. And then what happens? The Torah is left, and the avodah, right? The davening, the Torah, and a person leaves his Creator. And this is what Shlomo Meir said: "Ba'atzaltaim yimach hamikra, b'shiflut yadayim yidlof habayit." That everything falls apart because there's a wear and tear. There's this laziness and therefore pulls you down. And this is what it is. And therefore, right, a person has to, every time, this is what he says, the Ramchal gives us a little gift here, Kol kula tzlicha b'dika. Anytime you're looking to do something faster, easier, when it comes to your Avodat Hashem, try to figure out, where is it coming from? Is this coming, it's true that sometimes there is the right thing to do it, to do the fast way, or like we said. But you have to check, where is it coming from? Where is this force that's coming from, that's pulling me to go and do it the easy way? Is it coming because, it's the right thing to do? Or am I looking for the quick fix? Am I looking for the shortcut? Am I looking for the steroids instead of the actual workout? Take a deep breath and go back to the how do you say, to the treadmill. Go back to the workout bench. No, I want to serve Hashem. I'm in this world. I want to go beyond myself, and this takes work. Again, the Ramchal organizes everything very, very clear. First, understand the overview. So this is just the overview, and therefore he says, Klal gadol klalosh davar. The bottom line. The Ramchal says, Tzarich Adam litchazek v'itkaber b'zi. You have to overcome it, and you have to right. V'zrizut lasot hamitzvat. You have to go beyond yourself to do the mitzvot, and you have to b'ashlicho me'alav koved ha'atzala me'akevet al yado. You have to, basically take off that heaviness of the laziness that is holding you back. You say no. Again, how do you do it? We're going to talk about the next class. How to do it, how to motivate ourselves, all these things we don't understand yet. We understand that this is the reality. There is laziness. We are pulled down. We want the comforts. We want the quick fix. We want the shortcut. And this is all very important to know. Giborei koach v'tireh, and you should see that the malachim, the angels, nishtabchu b'midat tavas, angels, we have the ability, right? You have animals are animals. Angels are angels. Angels only want to do the will of God. Animals only want to do the reality of this world, of take care of themselves. We are the combination of the two, which creates a very complex situation. And Ramchal is telling us, tap into that place of the angel in you. And when we make the choice, through our freedom of choice, to choose to do as rizut, to go beyond ourselves, we go beyond the angels. And therefore, this is the place that we should strive for. And yes, we cannot be, we will not be angels. But anything we can do to touch it, to get close to it, we should do. And that's what David HaMelech says, Chashti v'lo itmatmati lishmor mitzvotecha. I ran and I did not stand back for a moment to do I did not say, could I do it easier? Can I do it a faster way? Can I do it a shortcut? I went the long way. I went the way because that's my Avodat Hashem. So thank you, everybody. And next week we'll continue to next part, chapter 7. Thank you very much.
Thanks.